I realized as our group linked back to Dunny that we should not restore the city as we had planned. The once magnificent buildings lay in ruin, a testament to the hatred that had consumed them. Too many people had fallen victim to that hate, to the prejudice and greed from which it sprang. Gazing out across the cavern, I decided to write another age, one that would help the Dunny survivors begin again, free from the tragedies of their past. So with my wife, Catherine, supporting me, I put aside that past to write a future. More than a year has gone by since I finished writing Releashon. I have a new daughter, who I hope will someday link to the age with me. And as I imagine Yisha meeting the Dunny, those brave men and women who are building a new life for themselves, I realize I've been given another chance as well. A chance to learn from my mistakes and leave the past behind me once and for all.
Myst 3 is an adventure game made by Presto Studios, a development team that would go on to make pretty much nothing else. The game plays very similarly to the rest of the series, but unlike the other games, this one has Brad Dourif in it. More on that later. Like the rest of the games, you play as the stranger, aka yourself, aka Atris's friend. You're tasked with solving mysteries and puzzles in order to find a book that was stolen by Brad Dourif.
You want to reclaim relation, you're going to have to take your own class.
That's all I'll say on that for now. Graphically, I think this game has held up very well over the years. It might have even held up better, or is at least on par with Myst 4. Compared to Myst 4, this game has smoother video transitions and less green screen weirdness. Myst 4 might have fancy 3D effects, but I think this game is the more visually interesting of the two. Moving away from comparisons, I do appreciate the visual variety on display here. There's a lot of cool colors and ideas that are used. Like how this one age is basically just a roller coaster you have to fix, and this other age is a really big tree that you climb down. The series has always had a good balance between steampunk-esque technology and nature. This game also has some pretty good skyboxes. This game has a really uneasy atmosphere. I can't really place my finger on why. Some of it's because of the graphics, but I think most of it is because of the audio. Going back to the Myst 4 comparisons, this game doesn't play music all the time like that game does. Music in this game will just sort of sneak up on you. However, it's very good music. It was made by Jack Wall, the guy who did the music for Myst 4, so you can expect the same level of quality in this game too. I mean, come on, listen to this. Anytime you enter a new age, there will be a theme that plays before you start exploring the world. Outside of that and the sneaky music, this is a pretty quiet game. The soundscapes are minimal, but they are fitting. All in all, the audio is pretty great. So how about the gameplay? Gameplay is pretty simple. You basically just walk around the map and solve puzzles. The puzzles themselves are pretty well balanced. At worst, they get a little tedious. The gist of the game is that you have to go to 3 different worlds, or ages as they're called in game, and collect 3 different symbols. Once you've done this, you can go to the 4th and final age and solve the final puzzle. This puzzle is what I meant by tedious, by the way. The mechanics aren't that hard to grasp, but there's a lot of trial and error involved. There's not much more to say about the puzzles, without giving the answers away. But I will say, compared to Myst 4, the puzzles here are much more challenging. They're not the hardest puzzles in the world or anything, but I'd keep a notepad handy for at least a couple of them. There is technically one final puzzle, but I'll save that for the section where I talk about the hostage negotiation. The zip mechanic from Myst 4 is also in this game, but it's a bit more awkward to use since, it's an earlier version. Interacting with the world is also pretty similar to Myst 4. You have a free look mode, but if you right click, your hand will move freely without the camera turning. Oh yeah, speaking of interacting with the world, you can find these journal pages left around. I guess it's time to talk about the story now. So the story itself is pretty simple. Atris is writing in Age, one of those worlds, to house his newly homeless people, the Dani. Atris invites you over to take a tour of his new age, but this guy Savidro shows up and takes the book. And like any good friend, you go in after him. That's pretty much it for the main plot. You're just spending most of the game chasing down this Savidro guy. The game's story is mostly interested in developing Savidro as a character before your final confrontation with him. He's left plenty behind to help you figure out what his motivations are and what kind of headspace he's in. He's left journal pages and paintings and video messages behind to tell you exactly what he thinks of Atris and his family.
They burn their Myst linking books in front of me. They took everything I had. My wife! My 2 baby girls!
I won't get into details in case you haven't played the game yet, but he's not exactly in the healthiest state of mind when you meet him. Before you can get to him, however, Savidro has you find 3 symbols he left behind in Puzzle Ages in order to unlock the linking book he used. After plowing through and getting the symbols, you're finally able to catch up with him and meet him on his homeworld, Narayan. What happens next I'll leave out for the spoilers section. If you don't want to see what happens, go to here. So you finally meet up with Savidro. Small problem. Now you're both stuck.
We're stuck here, The linking book back to Chananan is gone. Left behind when I linked out of Atris' study. And as for getting in to Narayan, look around you. This chamber is the only way in. And Atris installed some kind of shield, and I have never been able to get past it. Not once in all these years. So you're just as stuck here as I am. At least until I open this book and I show Atris what it's like to watch your friends and relatives die. If you do find a way out of here, I suggest that you think very carefully about using it. Because the one thing I know about linking books, the doors they open don't close behind you.
In order to get out, you'll need to solve a puzzle that lets you remove the shielding covering this door. You have everything on you need to solve the puzzle, but it is definitely the hardest puzzle in the game. Once you've solved the puzzle, the door will open, and downstairs you'll find a book back to Tamana. I wouldn't recommend using this right away.
You've returned! Atris, come quick! The fire burnt the linking book you used. We had no way of following and thought.
We've returned. Where's Relishan?
I mean, to be fair, he did warn you. Downstairs you'll find the clues you need to solve the 4th and final part of the puzzle, which will unlock the world shielding if the toggle is set to it. Savidro notices this.
They're alive? How did you... The 4 symbol. Gives me hope, only to destroy me with it. I still have something that he wants. Something that he sent you to bring back for him. Release you. Drop the outer barrier when I'm out by the gondola. Switch the shield so the outer barrier is open. And in return, I'll give up Release.
Now from here, you have two options. You can either take Savitro at his word and just pretend that he didn't suffer for 20 years.
Apparently, it's my turn to live up to my end of the bargain.
Unsurprisingly, he kills the hostage. The second option is to do the more rational thing and escalate.
Oh no.
No! 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 No!
I just want to note how excellent Brad Dourif's acting is here. You might think it's hammy, but come on, he's about to be in prison for another 20 years. How would you react? At this point, he'll be willing to trade over the book as long as you let him go. Unlike last time, he actually gives you the book first. From here, you have a couple options. You can either leave him to die with no possible chance to escape, which Atris strongly disapproves of, or you can keep good on your word and let Savitro go. Just, make sure your settings are right before you attempt this. The good, and probably canon ending, is you let Savitro go back to his people without losing the book. I say probably canon because this is never brought up in Myst 4. Maybe you do really leave him there to die. I don't know. With all that done, you link back to Tamana to meet up with Atris and Catherine and roll credits. So that's Myst 3. The length of the game varies depending on how good you are at solving puzzles, or how quickly you turn to the internet for answers. Even if you know every answer to every puzzle going into this game, I still highly recommend it for the atmosphere and visuals alone, and maybe Brad Dourif too. You can get it for about $15 on Steam or on GOG, but if that's too much for you, it goes on sale pretty often on GOG at least. That's about it. Thanks for watching, and if I'm not back by the end of December, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.